The briefing room was dark, the faint hum of fluorescent lights the only sound above the soft shuffle of boots on metal floors. Maps covered the table like a chaotic spiderweb of intelligence data, satellite images, enemy positions, extraction routes. Commander Mason stood at the head, tall and unyielding, the dim light catching the sharp lines of his face. His eyes, cold and calculating, swept across the room, lingering briefly on each operator. Every SEAL in the room was trained for danger, but even they felt the gravity of this mission. This wasn't a routine raid. It was high risk, high stakes, and potentially lethal. "Listen up," Mason's voice cut through the silence, steady but carrying the weight of authority. "Intel has confirmed the location of the target, high value, heavily guarded in the heart of enemy territory. Extraction is complicated, defenses are strong, and failure is not an option." He paused, letting the words sink in. Some of the team shifted uncomfortably, knowing this mission would push them to the edge. The target wasn't just any enemy operative. It was someone whose capture or elimination could prevent a cascade of attacks. The stakes were national, personal, and deadly. Lieutenant Kara Hayes leaned against the edge of the table, eyes scanning the maps with a cold precision that drew attention without demanding it. Recently assigned to this elite SEAL team, she was already earning a reputation. Kara's presence was magnetic, not in bravado but in quiet, unshakable competence. Every line, every marker on the map was absorbed instantly. The calculations ran in her mind like a machine. Distances, angles, enemy patrols, lines of fire. Nothing escaped her notice. Even Mason, known for rarely showing approval, acknowledged the sharpness in her eyes. Mason's gaze returned to the team, the weight of command pressing down on him. "We move at night, silent insertion. The mission will require absolute precision and discipline. One wrong step and it could cost lives, maybe all of ours. Remember, the extraction is as critical as the operation itself. We go in, complete the objective, and get out. Simple in theory, impossible in execution." The room went silent again. Every SEAL understood that these weren't just words. The desert, the enemy, the unknown, everything could go wrong in a heartbeat. Yet in that silence, Kara felt something familiar stir, anticipation, clarity, and the kind of focus that made her heart race without panic. She didn't need to speak. Her presence alone radiated confidence. Mason continued, gesturing toward a detailed satellite image projected on the wall. "Compound is fortified. Patrols rotate every 20 minutes. Multiple sniper nests reported on the eastern ridge. We'll insert via halo jump, then split into 2 teams. Team Alpha secures the target's perimeter. Team Bravo provides overwatch and extraction cover. Timing and coordination will be everything. Kara, you'll cover the eastern ridge. Your shots need to be precise. One miss could compromise the entire operation." Kara's lips pressed into a thin line. She nodded, eyes narrowing slightly as she memorized distances, ranges, and angles. Her mind worked ahead, visualizing every scenario: the enemy guards, the fortified walls, the extraction points, and most importantly, the commander's safety. She didn't know Mason well, not yet, but instinct told her this man demanded loyalty and earned it in return. One of the SEALs, a burly veteran with a scar across his jaw, shifted uneasily. "And what if the targets moved?" he asked, tension creeping into his voice. Mason's eyes sharpened. "Then we adapt. Every intel update is critical. Every movement counts. Complacency will get someone killed, probably more than one someone." The room absorbed the weight of his words. They had trained for years, endured grueling missions, and faced death in its many forms. Yet this operation felt different, more dangerous, more personal, more impossible. Kara felt it too, but she thrived under impossible. Finally, Mason's gaze settled on her. "Kara, you're new to this team, but your skills are exactly what we need. Watch, cover, protect. This isn't just about taking a target down, it's about keeping us alive. Are you ready for that responsibility?" Kara's voice was calm, measured, unwavering. "Yes, sir, I won't let you or the team down." A faint, approving nod passed Mason's lips. The room felt heavier now, charged with anticipation, determination, and fear lurking just beneath the surface. Every SEAL knew the mission would test them like nothing before. But Kara, silent and sharp-eyed, already calculated every possible outcome, her mind ready for the storm they were about to enter. Outside, the wind whispered against the base, as if hinting at the peril awaiting them. Inside, the team packed, checked their gear, and prepared to step into the darkness. None could know how the night would unfold, but one thing was certain. Nothing would be the same again once they left the safety of this briefing room. Night had fallen like a velvet curtain over the desert. The air was cold, sharp against the skin, carrying the faint scent of sand and distant smoke. Silence reigned except for the rhythmic hum of the Black Hawk hovering above. Inside, the SEAL team readied themselves, bodies tense, minds sharp, packs strapped, weapons checked, hearts synchronized with the countdown. Commander Mason gave a final nod, eyes glinting in the dim interior. "Remember your training, watch your angles, move as one, stay alive." Lieutenant Kara Hayes adjusted her sniper rifle, the scope glinting under the cabin's faint light. Her fingers were steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. Every operator around her felt the weight of the mission, but Kara's calm precision seemed almost otherworldly. She ran silent mental checks: wind speed, landing zone coordinates, enemy patrol patterns. Everything had to align perfectly. One miscalculation could spell disaster. The hatch opened and a rush of frigid desert wind tore through the cabin. Kara's heart leaped, not with fear but anticipation. They were seconds away from the unknown, where every shadow could be a threat. The SEALs lined up, breathing synchronized, waiting for the order. Mason gave the signal, and one by one they leapt into the void, plunging into darkness. The freefall was a strange kind of liberation. Kara focused, body rigid yet fluid, eyes scanning the faint moonlit terrain below. Every detail mattered: rocks, ridges, patrol lights, even the whisper of the wind. She landed with precision, rolling softly into the sand, immediately moving into cover. Around her, the team regrouped, disappearing into the shadows like phantoms. For several tense minutes, they moved silently across the desert floor. Kara's sharp eyes caught subtle movements, footprints where none should have been, a faint glint of a patrol rifle. She signaled the team, a single raised hand, and they adjusted their path, weaving between cover and danger. The mission demanded silence, coordination, and absolute awareness, and Kara delivered on all fronts. Suddenly, a faint rustle to their right. Kara froze, enemy scouts moving faster than expected. A soft hand gesture and the SEALs split into two squads flanking the patrol. Shadows merged with shadows. Before a single shot rang out, the scouts were subdued, unconscious before even knowing who was near. Kara didn't exhale until Mason's voice whispered through her earpiece, "Good work. Move." The team pressed on, sand crunching softly beneath boots. The compound loomed ahead, fortified, the enemy already alerted to potential intrusion. Kara's mind raced through angles, sniper nests, escape routes. Mason moved with practiced ease, guiding the team through obstacles. But the unexpected happened. An enemy soldier spotted movement. Gunfire erupted, sharp and deafening in the desert night. Chaos erupted instantly. Mason was pinned behind a jagged rock formation, return fire ricocheting dangerously close. A SEAL fell momentarily, shouting coordinates. Kara's pulse steadied, her training kicked in. She tracked enemy movements through her scope, calculating trajectories, wind, elevation. Each shot she fired was deadly precise, covering flanks and creating openings for the team. Yet when the smoke cleared for a heartbeat, Mason was gone. The realization hit the team like a hammer. Their commander, their anchor, their leader had vanished under fire. Shouts mixed with gunfire, sand whipping around, adrenaline spiking. Kara's mind didn't panic, instead it sharpened. She scanned the desert, spotting subtle footprints, disturbed dust, and a faint glimmer of movement, signs others missed. Mason was alive. She could feel it instinctively, and she would find him no matter what. The SEALs regrouped silently, eyes darting toward her. Kara signaled them to hold position while she moved toward the ridge, a vantage point to assess the area. Each step was calculated, deliberate, silent. The desert night hid dangers, yet she advanced with the patience of a predator. She knew Mason's survival depended on precision, not recklessness. Every heartbeat, every breath, every decision mattered. From her perch atop the ridge, Kara surveyed the area. Enemy patrols crisscrossed below, unaware of her presence. She noted their positions, timing, and movement patterns, storing every detail in her mind. Mason was somewhere within that chaos, vulnerable yet not defeated. Kara whispered into her earpiece, calm but determined, "I see him. I've got this. Stay ready." The night was far from over. The desert stretched endlessly, filled with shadows, threats, and uncertainty. But Kara Hayes was ready, fearless, sharp, and relentless. The first act of the mission had ended, but the real challenge had only just begun. The desert night had grown colder, shadows stretching unnaturally over the jagged terrain. The SEALs huddled behind rocks and ridges, hearts pounding, weapons ready, but the absence of their commander was a crushing weight. Mason's last position had been under fire, but now there was no sign of him, no response over the comms, no movement in the dark beyond the ridge. Panic, the kind that gnawed at the edges of even the most disciplined operators, began to creep in. "He's gone," a voice shouted, rough and panicked. It was Briggs, a veteran who rarely raised his voice. The words echoed through the silent night, ricocheting off rock and sand, heavy with disbelief. The team froze for a fraction of a second, then tension flared like wildfire. Every operator had trained for worst-case scenarios, yet this, losing Mason, was something else entirely. Fear and anger intertwined in a tight knot of frustration. Kara Hayes crouched low, her rifle across her knees, eyes scanning every shadow. Her pulse remained steady, each breath controlled. The others turned to her instinctively. She had a reputation for clarity under pressure, a calm the team instinctively trusted. "He's alive," she said, voice firm, unwavering. "I can find him." A murmur of doubt ran through the team. Losing a commander in enemy territory was a nightmare scenario, and Kara was still new. But there was steel in her eyes, a quiet confidence that demanded attention. She scanned the horizon, noting faint footprints, disturbed sand, and the glint of a rifle barrel hidden among rocks. Her mind raced, calculating angles, distances, wind patterns, and enemy movement. Every detail was vital. Briggs barked, frustration etched into his scarred face. "We can't just sit here. We need a plan, Kara." She didn't flinch. Sitting is not the same as waiting. Observe, calculate, and strike when the opportunity presents itself. Mason is alive. He's counting on us and on me. The team hesitated, caught between fear and hope. Kara's resolve spread like a silent contagion. They followed her lead, checking gear, scanning angles, and quietly communicating through hand signals. Every shadow, every noise was analyzed. The desert seemed alive, whispering danger with every shift of sand. Minutes stretched into what felt like hours. Kara moved carefully along a ridge, keeping low, eyes darting from shadow to shadow. She noted enemy patrol patterns, calculating timing with meticulous precision. One misstep would alert the guards, one misfire could doom them all. Kara paused, spotting a flicker of movement near a compound. Mason. He was there, tied and guarded, a faint figure illuminated by enemy torches. The team froze, breath catching in their throats. Kara's mind raced. The guards, their positions, possible escape routes. Every factor had to be considered before acting. She lowered her rifle, checking her scope, ensuring her shot would be precise, lethal, and silent. One miscalculation could cost Mason's life. "Stay low. Move only on my signal," Kara whispered. Her voice was calm, controlled, yet it carried authority. The team complied, watching her as she disappeared into the shadows toward the ridge that offered a clear vantage point. Every step Kara took was deliberate, almost predatory. The desert was merciless, the rocks jagged, and the enemy alert. Yet Kara advanced with a precision that defied danger. She moved like a shadow, part of the night, unseen but fully aware. Adrenaline sharpened her senses. Every sound, every flicker of movement was processed instantly. Finally, from her vantage point, Kara assessed the situation. The guards were numerous, armed, and vigilant, but they had one weakness: predictable rotation patterns. Kara memorized every detail, her mind forming a strategy for the impossible. She whispered through the comms, low and steady, "I see him. Mason is alive. I've got the angle. Prepare to move on my mark." The team exhaled silently, holding hope in tense lungs. For the first time since Mason disappeared, they believed he could survive. Kara's fearlessness, her unwavering focus, became their anchor. The desert night stretched endlessly before them, but Kara Hayes was already planning the impossible: a path through chaos, danger, and enemy fire to bring their commander home. Even in that dark, perilous moment, one truth was clear: failure was not an option, and Kara would make sure no one would call Mason lost. Kara Hayes slipped silently into the night, the desert sand cold beneath her palms as she crawled between jagged rocks. Every step, every movement was calculated. The wind whispered warnings, carrying the faint scent of gunpowder and distant smoke. She paused frequently, scanning, listening, noting the patrol routes and enemy positions she memorized from her perch. Her rifle was an extension of her body, the scope reflecting the moonlight like a predator's eye. Every heartbeat sharpened her focus, and yet her mind remained razor-clear. The compound where Mason had been held loomed in the distance, heavily fortified, surrounded by shadows that could conceal dozens of armed enemies. Kara's pulse quickened, not with fear but with adrenaline-charged determination. She adjusted the scope on her sniper rifle, confirming angles, distances, and wind speed. One wrong calculation could cost Mason his life, or hers. Memories of her training flooded her mind. Long nights alone in the mountains, waiting hours for a single shot, learning patience, discipline, and the deadly precision that now defined her. This was no longer practice, it was reality. Her breathing slowed, body taut but controlled. The desert night stretched endlessly, but Kara's mind moved faster than time. A guard moved near the outer perimeter, flashlight sweeping in slow arcs. Kara froze, shadow blending with shadow. She counted heartbeats, predicted his steps, and waited for the perfect moment. When the light passed, she advanced, her movements ghost-like, silent, precise. Every step took her closer to Mason, every shadow a potential threat. Reaching a ridge above the compound, Kara crouched low, scanning the scene below. Mason was there, tied to a post, ragged but alive. His eyes flickered toward a shadow moving above him. Kara exhaled silently. This was her chance. She whispered through her comms, barely audible, "I see him. Guards are rotating. I've got the angle. Prepare to move on my mark." The SEAL team responded in hushed tones, tense and silent. Kara's plan was simple but deadly. Cover the flanks with sniper fire, create openings for the team to reach Mason, and neutralize threats before they could react. Precision, timing, and patience were everything. The first shot went off like a whisper. One guard dropped silently. Kara adjusted, taking another, eliminating the second threat. Each shot was deliberate, controlled, and exact. Her breathing matched the rhythm of the desert, her eyes never leaving Mason. The compound's shadows seemed alive, filled with enemies she had to anticipate, calculate, and neutralize before they even realized she was there. She noticed a patrol approaching from the east ridge, moving faster than her calculations predicted. A second shot, clean and deadly, and the threat vanished before raising alarm. Kara's focus never wavered. The team's survival and Mason's depended on her. Each click of the bolt, each faint thud of impact, was a heartbeat closer to their objective. Despite the chaos below, Kara remained unseen. The desert night was both ally and enemy. Every grain of sand, every jagged rock could reveal her position if she misstepped. She advanced carefully, shadow to shadow, never losing sight of Mason. Her mind raced ahead, predicting enemy movements, planning escape routes, and visualizing every possible outcome. Finally, Kara had cleared a path. Mason's position was accessible and the team was ready. She whispered one last command, "Move now, I've got your six." Her eyes never left the compound as the SEALs began to advance, silent, swift, deadly. Kara covered them, one shot after another, creating the corridor of safety Mason needed. For a moment time seemed suspended, sand, shadows, and silence holding their breath. Then Mason's eyes locked on hers. Relief and determination flashed across his face. He nodded subtly, signaling readiness. Kara smiled faintly, a silent promise. She had found him. Now she had to ensure he survived the night. Even as the first extraction steps began, Kara stayed vigilant, scanning for reinforcements, anticipating traps and calculating angles. The desert had tested her patience, skill, and courage, but she had mastered it. Mason's life was no longer a question. Her resolve had tipped the scales. Kara Hayes had become more than a sniper tonight. She was a predator in the night, a shield for her team, and the difference between death and survival. The desert was silent once more, but the battle was far from over. She exhaled softly, eyes locked on the compound below. One step closer, one move at a time, the impossible mission had just begun. And Kara was ready. Kara crouched atop the ridge, eyes locked on the compound below, heart steady but mind racing. Mason was alive, but the enemy outnumbered them, and every second counted. She whispered into her comms, her voice calm, precise, and commanding. Alpha Team, cover the East Ridge. Bravo Team, approach quietly from the west. I'll take the high ground and eliminate threats. Timing is critical, wait for my mark. The SEALs responded with hushed affirmations. Trust in Kara was immediate. Her clarity cut through the panic that had gripped them since Mason disappeared. Every detail had been calculated, the guard rotations, sniper positions, patrol intervals. One misstep would alert the enemy. One false move, and Mason's life could end. Kara's mind was a machine, running possibilities and contingencies faster than any human could react. She scanned the perimeter with her scope. The guards shifted, their flashlights sweeping the desert floor in slow arcs. Kara counted seconds between rotations, marking precise timings. 30 seconds, she whispered, voice low. Then the next rotation, get ready. Her rifle rested on the bipod, perfectly aligned. Every muscle was taut, coiled like a spring, ready to release in controlled violence. A sudden rustle near the eastern ridge drew her attention. Two guards, unaware, moved into her line of sight. Kara exhaled, squeezing the trigger. The shots were quiet but fatal, two threats eliminated before they could raise an alarm. She recalculated immediately, scanning for reinforcements. The desert was alive with danger, but her training allowed her to stay several steps ahead. Through the comms, she guided Alpha and Bravo, whispering precise instructions. Move now, clear left flank, take positions behind cover, wait for my signal. The SEALs obeyed flawlessly, moving like shadows, silent and coordinated. Kara's vantage point gave her control of the battlefield. She could see every enemy movement, anticipate every patrol, and protect every teammate. Mason struggled against his bindings, trying to stay upright as a guard approached. Kara adjusted her scope, taking a clean shot that neutralized the threat before he reached Mason. The team below responded, moving silently, taking cover and inching closer to the compound. Kara's calm, controlled voice kept everyone synchronized. It was like a deadly ballet, precision, timing, and trust in one another. Another patrol approached the compound's south side. Kara flicked her wrist, adjusting the scope's elevation and accounting for distance, wind, and movement. The shot was flawless. Another threat down. The team below advanced further, each SEAL moving with silent purpose. Kara's eyes never left Mason. She had promised him survival, and she intended to deliver. Minutes passed like hours as Kara guided her team, picking off enemies, marking safe paths, and relaying positions. She moved when necessary, repositioning quietly to cover new angles, always calculating, always anticipating. The enemy was formidable, but Kara's precision, patience, and tactical mind turned the battlefield into an advantage for her team. Bravo Team, flank left. Alpha Team, breach on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Kara's whispered countdown was a signal of impending action. The SEALs moved, silent and swift, closing in on Mason. each movement coordinated with Kara's cover fire. Shots rang out, precise and lethal, clearing obstacles while minimizing noise. Finally, Kara saw an opening. Mason was within reach. She signaled the team and they surged forward, swift and silent, to reach him. Kara covered their advance, picking off a final guard who had lingered near the exit. The path was clear. Mason, battered but conscious, was freed from his bindings, eyes wide with relief as he spotted Kara watching over him. "Thank you," he whispered, hoarse but sincere. Kara only nodded, scanning the perimeter, calculating the safest extraction route. There was no time for relief, not yet. Every second counted. The desert was still hostile, still dangerous. Extraction had to be flawless. Kara had coordinated the impossible, guiding her team, neutralizing threats and ensuring Mason's survival. As the SEALs prepared to move, Kara's focus remained unbroken. She whispered final instructions, checking every angle, confirming paths, and ensuring no enemy could ambush them. The night was far from over, but the tide had shifted. Mason was alive, the team coordinated, and Kara's fearless precision had turned chaos into control. In that tense silence, one truth was undeniable. Kara Hayes had not only found their commander, but had orchestrated a path through death itself. She had become the team's anchor, the unseen hand that would guide them home. The desert night erupted into controlled chaos as Kara's first shot cracked through the silence, striking a guard mid-step. The SEALs surged forward, moving like shadows over the jagged terrain, rifles raised, eyes scanning for any threat. Mason, battered and weak, stumbled as the team reached him. Kara's voice over the comms was steady, precise, cutting through the chaos. "Cover the east flank. Bravo team, move. Extraction point is 5 clicks north. Move fast, stay low." Each shot Kara fired was deliberate, deadly, and silent, taking out guards before they could react. The night became a blur of movement and precision. Her eyes flicked from target to target, each calculation perfect. Explosions from a distant building shook the desert floor, but Kara's focus never wavered. She was the sentinel, the guardian, the difference between life and death for the team. Enemy reinforcements appeared, shadows moving faster, alerted to the team's presence. Kara didn't flinch. Her scope tracked the movement. Each target was assessed in milliseconds. Another shot, a guard down. A second shot, another neutralized. She created a corridor of safety, clearing the way for the SEALs to reach Mason. Mason, supported by 2 operators, struggled to his feet. He was bruised, bleeding, but conscious. Relief flashed across his face when he saw Kara covering them, the sniper who had silently orchestrated their escape. "Kara," he rasped, voice hoarse with exhaustion and gratitude. Kara gave a subtle nod but didn't lower her rifle. Danger was still present, and her eyes scanned the horizon relentlessly. The extraction point loomed ahead, but it was not without peril. Enemy gunfire erupted from a ridge to the south. The team ducked behind rocks, bullets sparking against the sand. Kara adjusted her scope, taking a precise shot that eliminated the most immediate threat. Another SEAL provided covering fire, allowing Mason to move one step closer to safety. Every second was critical. Kara's mind raced through contingencies. The desert was unforgiving. Rocks, ridges, and patrols could be their undoing. She spotted an enemy sniper attempting to flank the team, positioning for a shot. Without hesitation, she squeezed the trigger, neutralizing the threat before he could act. The rhythm was deadly. Her calculations, the team's movements, and Mason's survival intertwined seamlessly. One operator shouted as they neared the extraction point. Incoming from the ridge, shadows moved with deadly intent. Kara's pulse remained calm, her breath steady. Another shot, another guard down. She adjusted, eyes scanning, ensuring Mason's path remained open. The SEALs surged forward, silent and precise, closing the distance to the waiting helicopter. Finally, they reached the extraction zone. The rotors of the Black Hawk sliced through the night air, the machine a beacon of salvation. Kara covered the team, taking down a final guard attempting to ambush them. Mason was lifted aboard, the team following, adrenaline and exhaustion mixing into a tense relief. Kara was the last to move, scanning for threats until she was certain the area was secure. As Kara leapt aboard, her boots hitting the metal deck, the helicopter lifted into the night sky. The desert fell silent below, shadows stretching long and empty. Mason, seated and bandaged, finally allowed himself a breath. He turned to Kara, eyes wide with awe and respect. You saved us," he said, voice thick with gratitude. Kara only nodded, scanning the horizon from her vantage point in the chopper, ever vigilant. The team exhaled collectively, tension easing but not gone entirely. They had survived against impossible odds because of Kara's precision, leadership, and fearlessness. She had turned chaos into strategy, fear into action. Mason's life and the mission had depended on her, and she had delivered. As the helicopter flew toward safety, Kara kept watch, eyes sharp, mind alert. The desert night had tested every skill she possessed: patience, calculation, courage, and she had prevailed. The extraction was complete, but Kara's role was not just sniper or soldier. She had become the guardian, the unseen hand guiding them through peril. The mission's success owed everything to her resolve. Even as dawn approached, casting pale light over the horizon, one fact remained unshakable. Kara Hayes had brought their commander back from the edge of death, and no enemy, terrain, or danger could diminish the heroism displayed that night. The helicopter's rotors beat a frantic rhythm against the desert night as the team settled aboard. Mason slumped into the seat, bruised, bloodied, and trembling from the shock and exhaustion. His breathing was uneven, but he was alive, and that was all that mattered. Around him, the SEALs exchanged brief glances, relief and awe etched across their faces. Every operator had trained for impossible missions, but few had faced a night like this, where their leader's life hung by a thread. Kara Hayes remained perched near the rear of the helicopter, rifle cradled across her lap, eyes scanning the horizon even as the desert fell away beneath them. Her breathing had slowed, muscles relaxing slightly, but the vigilance never left her. Mason's survival wasn't complete yet. Every second mattered until they were safely back on base. Finally, Mason met Kara's gaze. Weak but piercing, his eyes glimmered with gratitude. "Kara," his voice was hoarse, shaking. "You saved my life. I don't know how to thank you." Kara's lips curved faintly, but she didn't respond immediately. Words were unnecessary. Her calm demeanor had spoken louder than any thanks could. She only nodded, keeping her eyes moving, scanning for any remaining threats. The rest of the team let out breathless murmurs of relief. Briggs, the scarred veteran who had shouted "He's gone" hours earlier, finally allowed himself a smile. "Never doubted you for a second," he muttered, though his tone betrayed the tension he had carried. Other SEALs shook their heads in awe, knowing the impossible had been achieved because of Kara's skill and fearlessness. Mason struggled upright slightly, leaning on a team member, still catching his breath. I never realized," he began, voice trembling, "how precise and lethal she is. Kara, you orchestrated the entire extraction. You didn't just find me, you saved us all." Kara's gaze remained steady, professional, but there was a flicker of satisfaction in her eyes. She had done what was necessary, and she had done it flawlessly. The helicopter hummed steadily toward the base, the night slowly giving way to the first pale streaks of dawn. Kara checked the team silently, confirming every member was accounted for. The extraction had been a ballet of death and precision, and now it was complete. The desert was behind them, but its lessons lingered: patience, vigilance, and the deadly cost of mistakes. Kara had mastered them all. Mason's eyes softened, a rare vulnerability in the hardened commander. "I owe you more than my life," he said quietly. "Your focus, your courage, you are a force unlike any I've ever seen." Kara met his gaze evenly, silent, acknowledging the praise but letting action speak louder than words. Her duty was complete, but her mind was already calculating the next steps: the debrief, the medical checks, and ensuring no lingering threats followed them back to base. As the helicopter descended, Kara's eyes drifted over the horizon. She had acted alone when the team faltered, had calculated every shot, every movement, and had guided them to victory. She hadn't sought recognition. Her satisfaction came from the mission's success, from seeing Mason alive and the team intact. But the weight of what she had accomplished pressed subtly on her shoulders. She had faced chaos and controlled it, guiding the impossible with nerves of steel. When the Black Hawk touched down at the SEAL base, the team disembarked quickly but cautiously. Mason moved toward the medical tent first, supported by 2 operators. Kara followed closely, rifle slung over her shoulder, observing silently, ensuring no threat had followed them. She was the guardian even in victory, ever watchful. Inside the tent, Mason's wounds were tended to. He winced slightly but remained conscious, gratitude and respect written across his features. He turned to Kara again. "You led us tonight. Without you," he trailed off, voice catching. Kara shook her head, refusing to let emotion cloud her professionalism. She had done what was necessary. Mason's life had been saved, the mission accomplished. That was enough. Outside, the desert sun began to rise, bathing the base in soft golden light. Kara stood apart, rifle in hand, scanning the perimeter, alert and calm. The team celebrated quietly, but Kara's mind was already moving forward. She had proven herself under fire, earned respect, and demonstrated that courage and precision could bend even impossible odds in favor of survival. Mason approached her one last time before the debrief. "Kara, you didn't just save me, you saved everyone. Your name will be remembered here by me, by this team." Kara simply nodded, eyes steady, letting the weight of her actions settle quietly. She had no need for accolades. The mission's success was her reward. In the calm after the storm, one truth remained undeniable. Kara Hayes had brought their commander back from the brink, orchestrated survival against impossible odds, and cemented herself as a legend among the SEALs. The desert had tested them all, but Kara had mastered it. Dawn broke over the SEAL base, soft gold streaking across the horizon, washing over the training grounds and barracks. The night had been long, brutal, and almost fatal, but the mission was complete. Commander Mason was alive, the team intact, and the impossible had been accomplished. The base seemed to breathe with them, exhaling tension as the first rays of sun lit the dust-swept air. Kara Hayes stepped lightly across the compound, rifle slung across her shoulder, boots crunching softly against the sand. The adrenaline that had fueled her through the desert still lingered, sharp and insistent. She had orchestrated the impossible, tracking Mason, eliminating threats and guiding her team through chaos. But she remained composed. For her, the mission's success, not accolades, was the true reward. Operators gathered quietly in small groups, faces drawn from exhaustion yet alive with relief. Briggs, the scarred veteran, clapped Kara on the shoulder, a rare smile breaking across his face. "I've never seen anyone move like that," he said. "Silent, precise, like death itself was on your side." Kara simply nodded, her attention already scanning the perimeter, every instinct alert. Praise was fleeting, vigilance was eternal. Mason emerged from the medical tent, still bandaged, but his posture steadier than expected. His eyes met Kara, and a rare warmth softened his usually stern expression. "You didn't just save me," he said, voice low but resonant. "You saved every one of us. I owe you more than words can ever convey." Kara's lips curved faintly, but she remained silent, letting his words sink into the morning air. She had no need for acknowledgement. Her actions had spoken louder than any praise could. The team gathered for a debrief, recounting events with precision and clarity. Kara contributed where necessary, her voice measured, her focus unwavering. Every tactical choice, every shot, every maneuver was analyzed. Yet beneath the analysis, there was a shared, unspoken understanding. Kara's courage had tipped the balance. She had acted decisively, with patience and lethal precision, when others might have faltered. Mason lingered after the debrief, pulling Kara aside. "I've led men in combat for years," he said quietly, eyes thoughtful, "but tonight I saw something different. Focus, calm under pressure, fearlessness. You have the makings of a leader, Kara. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise." Kara nodded, absorbing the weight of his words. Leadership was not given, it was earned, often in silence and under fire. Tonight she had earned it. Outside, the base stirred with quiet activity. The The sun climbed higher, bathing the desert in warmth and light, transforming the harsh terrain into a golden expanse. The mission had tested every skill, every instinct, every ounce of courage. Kara had navigated it all, surviving the night, saving Mason, and protecting the team. Yet even in victory, she remained vigilant, eyes scanning the horizon, prepared for whatever challenges lay ahead. The team slowly dispersed, returning to routines, their laughter quiet but genuine. Kara remained for a moment, looking out over the desert, reflecting on the night's trials. Fear, tension, precision, and courage had intertwined to create the impossible. She had faced shadows, enemy fire, and the unknown, and emerged unbroken. Every calculation, every shot, every decision had been necessary, and everyone had contributed to the mission's success. Mason approached one final time, his expression serious but grateful. "The world doesn't often see what you just did," he said, "but I do, and so does this team. Tonight you became more than a sniper, you became a legend among us." Kara allowed herself a small, satisfied smile, acknowledging the moment without lingering in it. There would be time for accolades later. For now, the mission and the team came first. As she walked back toward the barracks, Kara's thoughts were already forward-looking. The desert night had ended, but challenges would come again. Her skills, her focus, and her courage had been proven, but she knew the battlefield demanded constant vigilance. She had saved Mason, led her team through danger, and faced death with precision and composure. Yet she would never rest on past victories. The base settled into a calm rhythm, the team healed, the commander alive, and the mission complete. Kara Hayes had proven herself in the crucible of combat, earning respect, admiration, and the quiet satisfaction of a mission accomplished. The desert had tested her, and she had mastered it. In the quiet morning, as the sun fully rose over the horizon, one truth lingered. The impossible had been achieved, a commander had been saved, and a fearless sniper had forever changed the course of a night steeped in danger, chaos, and courage. Kara had become more than a soldier. She had become the guardian of her team, a legend forged in shadows, and the embodiment of unwavering resolve.